Hey everyone, my name is Kevin Waters. I'm here with Taylor Bent and also Leah Gooyers and Patrick Connell are with us as well. There they are.
Hello.
Uh, it's nice to have you guys here with us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Uh, to get started, I'll just have both of you introduce yourself just with your name, your pronouns, and where you're from.
Okay.
My name's Leah Gooyers. My pronoun is she or they, and I'm from Gladstone, Ontario.
My name is Patrick Connell, and my pronoun is him or he. And what was the
Where are
second
you
part?
from?
Oh, I'm from London, Ontario.
Currently, we're living in Hubbards.
Nice. Awesome. So did either of you study anywhere for art, or are you both self-taught?
I started, my interests were in architecture, so I studied in architectural technology course in London, and I decided that I didn't want to be sitting behind a desk for my career, so I transitioned into making art full time, and that has been on and off, and has been sort of like a healing journey and also just a creative journey from my childhood, and yeah, self-taught in many different mediums.
Yeah. I have been making art my whole life, just like always interested in being creative. And I went to school first for architecture and I dropped out. And then I went to school for ecosystem management technology at Sir Sanford Fleming.
Yep.
And it was a really amazing experience just being able to learn about the environment and how I can relate to that and how I'm a part of it. And just like a self-taught artist as well. And Pat and I met each other 6 years ago now and just like really connected creatively and have been making art, together and individually ever since.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's really great. So you just talked about how you came here to Hubbards recently. I'm actually from Hubbards. I've been there mainly my whole life. I know it's a cool place, but what brought you here?
So we have been making art installations and traveling with them between Ontario and Quebec and the Maritimes for the past 5 years. And when we came out to the East Coast, we just really met people that we really connected with. And as artists, it's important to surround ourselves with people that inspire us. And that's why we decided to make the move out here. We spent the summer, like 2019, we spent the summer traveling out here and doing a number of different events, and that kind of solidified it for us that this is where we want to be. And it's been a super great move. So yeah, we're really happy.
Nice. That's great. Cool. So could you both tell us a bit about your practice? For example, what inspires your artwork, or what is your favorite thing to create?
Sure. I really love the process of things. So my work is based off of geometry and patterns that are found in nature.
Yep.
And that's sort of inspired me to dive into a bunch of different mediums over the years. And some of them are a little more organic. I'm introduced to something and then I dive into it a little bit deeper. But I've done work with wood primarily. That's like one of my main focuses, but I do a lot of drawing and painting, little arts and crafts and dioramas. We spent a winter in Quebec and I did glass blowing for a period of time, and got my own torch eventually and continued to make glass marbles and pendants and little dishes. And yeah, always had sort of an inspiration to create spaces for people to interact with and inhabit. And we make all sorts of little machines and things that move and
we
puppets.
like to make puppets. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of limitations. It's there's just a lot of different methods and processes that interest us. So we sort of immerse ourselves in those processes. And I really like the process of things. So I really like to break down how things are made and then understand those processes. And then one skill sort of snowballs into another. And yeah, there's a large body of experience and skills that we can sort of grab from in our toolbox. So
Awesome.
I have always really loved drawing, and the way that I taught myself was just like through doodling and not really having many expectations, and that kind of being the journey. And it's taught me a lot about myself and how I relate to my surroundings and what's happening in the world and the people around me. And I really love telling stories, and with like reoccurring characters and kind of always changing things up as well, and relating that to different stories that have been told throughout time and different cultures. And I find a lot of meaning in that way. And I similarly try a lot of different things. I like to paint. I like to sew and like make different garments. And when Pat and I work together, he very much likes the process, and I'm much more of like an intuitive artist. And in that way, we meet each other in a really interesting way, because we're able to go deep from like two different perspectives and also support each other, make each of our visions come to life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Where can people buy your artwork or anything you make?
Yeah, we have a website called beastunderneath.com. And so that has like some of our merch and one-off stuff on it. And also just following along on Instagram and Facebook. And
you can find things like these sticker pages and some zines. And
Nice.
sometimes we post some hats like the ones that we're wearing.
yeah.
And original paintings. Yeah, it can be both sparse on there and also very abundant. So it kind of comes in waves depending on what we're working on.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's great to hear about all your work, and it's clear that you guys have a lot of vast different knowledges, and you've really sought out information for all kinds of different forms of art. But have you ever thought about teaching, or have you taught anyone your own artwork?
It's funny because so many people tell us that we should be teaching kids, or that we should be holding workshops, and slowly we're like coming around to that more, and we've had opportunities, but it just hasn't really been the right time for us for a number of different reasons. But I think that we would enjoy doing it, but we haven't really stepped into that aspect of ourselves in our practice yet. Like we sometimes when we're working on big projects, we'll have friends come by that help us on the projects, and it can be a good learning experience for all of us, because a lot of times when Pat and I step into new big projects, we'll see an old sketch in our sketchbooks and just be like, oh, that would be a really cool moving machine, or that would be a really cool stage design. And then we very much are learning while we go too, and like foraging for upcycled materials and looking for people with different skills. So there's been a few times where we are learning with others while we're also learning.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the trail art project. Can you explain your process while you were coming up with this idea?
Sure. First, we usually start with going through past sketchbooks and just sort of drawing some inspiration from different characters and different spaces that we may have thought would be a cool idea. And then that kind of snowballs into, okay, so this is sort of the lines that we want to go. How could we make this a real space for people to inhabit? And how can we make it safe and larger than life? What kind of materials can we use? So this project in particular was quite a bit of a challenge because we're used to making large interactive art pieces that are temporary. So
Yep.
we show up a week before an event and set up or build this piece, and then it's set up for a week and then we take it down again. So we're used to using a lot of wood and recycled materials, and this definitely, being a permanent installation, gave us some extra challenges and made us think about our material choices a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so we went through several different sketches and ideas and how we would create a space, and a lot of the sort of materials that maybe we would have used in the past as like a safety net were kind of out the window because we wanted it to survive for a long time.
One thing that both of us have been like quite interested in over the years has been earthship building techniques. And so when we, were prompted with making something that was like culturally relevant to the area and also to the times that we're living in, and having to be permanent, we've always wanted to experiment more with earthship building techniques. And so that's how we came about of the bottle brick wall, because that's a really well-known technique used in earthship building, where you upcycle bottles to cut back on the amount of mortar that you have to use to build a wall. And you also make this beautiful mosaic that light can shine through, and that looks really beautiful. And so this was a really great opportunity for us to kind of step into something like that we could build and build our skills and have something, be more permanent. So that was like an exciting kind of revelation for us to bring that into this project. And we really enjoy making spaces for people. So that being able to like build a real space that looks like it's been in the forest for a couple hundred years, and that perhaps a being has inhabited before, and also kind of speaking to how things change so rapidly, and how much we have to adapt as like human beings, but also all living things in the rapid pace of our, current reality. And the collage that we spoke about, that originally we were thinking of doing with wood, but it not really weathering that well, we decided to turn over to metal. And so working with animals and plants and in that realm very much is like what I love to explore in artwork, and where a lot of like our characters and stories have come from. And so that was like a very natural thing to include, and having these plants and animals that are all native to the area, and some of them are endangered because of the rapid transformation like of our culture and land use, and them kind of being like friends of the space of the past and the future, and befriending people who had lived there. Was some of the inspiration behind that.
Is this
Awesome.
maybe a time where we could describe the piece to
Yeah,
you?
definitely. Please do.
So the idea is, as trail users are walking along the path, the first thing that they might notice is a staircase that's made of big slabs of granite that were donated by workers of the municipality. And so there's sort of a granite staircase that leads up off of the trail. And from there, you'll be able to see sort of the first colors of the bottle brick wall. So what we proposed to build was this little structure that's going to be made out of cut bottles that are turned into bricks. And there'll be some old reused windows involved. And on the inside of this little structure is going to be a writing desk. So there's a little desk that goes inside. There it is. And this gives people an opportunity to sit in a quiet spot for the ability to observe the surrounding forest, and to reflect on reflect on the spaces that we inhabit and how we inhabit them, and different plants and animals that we share the space with. You want to talk about some of that as well?
Yeah, I think so. Part of expanding on like the sculptures of the plants and animals, we're also going to have some inoculated mushroom logs there that over a few years will sprout edible mushrooms and then hopefully spore off and create mushroom colonies in the forest. And there's kind of like 3 tiers that we're coming to understand that are a part of the meaning of this installation. And the first starts with mushrooms and the ability to break down old woody debris in the forest and make those nutrients available for new growth, new flowers, and plants and animals to utilize. And that without decay, all natural ecosystems would fail to exist. And the second level of that kind of corresponds to it is the plants and animals and these native ecosystems that are our kin. We are a part of that ecology, and how a lot of those ecosystems and webs of life are being simplified and making room for more invasive species. And there's more and more species at risk being added to the list every year. And how are those systems also decaying and breaking down? And what is that like? What is that showing an opportunity for? And how do we perceive that? And how do we step up to be accountable for that and make change? And the third is about like with the ruin that is not from this time or a past time, and we can kind of step into it and reflect, like Pat said, on where we are, how we occupy space in our natural world, and in a time where, you know, a lot of rapid transformation is happening, and as living beings we're having to change just as quick. And just like how decay functions in our everyday from macro to micro, and just like how we can reflect on that as like a part of these systems. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so much. Yeah, that's great. I don't even know what to say because I'm like blown away. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, that is really awesome. I think we've now also reached the end of our questions, Taylor, unless you had anything else.
I think I'm good. That was so good.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. We both want to say thank you for taking the time for this. I
Yes,
think
thank you.
people will really enjoy this once they get released, and I'm excited to go see it come the grand opening. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys for facilitating this and for having us on. We're super grateful for the opportunity to build this art installation and to be a part of this project. And yeah, super honored and excited to share this space that people can interact with. And yeah, I hope it brings people joy to find this little nook in the forest. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got a big month ahead of us, and it's been really fun working, like living so close to Hubbards and making community connections with people in the area and collecting bottles from folks that come into our work. And it's been really fun for us. So we're excited to share it with everyone.
There's a lot of people that have contributed and helped to this project. Shout out to John Roderick, who helped us with some of the concrete work when we did our foundation. Shout out to Franz Fraitzl, who has been a major contributing artist, helping teach us how to use a plasma cutter and how to source metal materials responsibly, and just giving us the space to be able to make some of these larger than life animal and plant characters that you'll be able to find in the forest. So
that's awesome.
We're excited.
Yeah.
Great. And that's